This is the Bros Ceremony,
Your journey's about to begin.
recapping the week that was in Bachelor Nation and previewing what's to come in the next episode with some special betting odds.
Ladies, gentlemen, it's the final rose tonight.
Here are your hosts, Michael the Hound Dog Harrison and Adam Scully.
Will you accept this rose?
Will you accept this rose?
Will you accept this rose?
Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 2 of the Bros Ceremony. Adam Scully alongside Michael the Hound Dog Harrison. And Hound Dog, episode 1 in the books. Lots of great reaction from our many thousands of fans.
Yeah, it was really cool. People seem really quite pumped that we started this podcast, and I'm excited to go through every episode in intricate, good word, detail with you about every painstaking thing that happened in the episode. So I expect this episode to probably go about 14 hours or so. Is that a fair assessment, would you say?
14 hours at the absolute minimum, I would say. Lots of great reaction. Thanks to those who reached out to us and said, way to go, good luck. Over 130 views on our first episode on YouTube. You can search Bros Ceremony on YouTube. Check us out there. We're also on Instagram at Bros Ceremony and on Twitter, Bros Ceremony Pod. Bros Ceremony was already taken by someone who had 0 followers. So,
oh, I think I saw that. No, I think the guy where he was following one person with 0 followers. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, it's great to be back. Episode 2, of course. Episodes coming out every Monday evening. We're going to get into next week's double header because there are 2 episodes, Monday and Tuesday. They're really rushing this through. This thing's going to be over in 2 weeks now. But let's recap the week that was in Bachelor Nation. We left off in episode 1 with the duel between Bennett and Noah. And Bennett was the first to go home, wasn't he?
He sure was, but my first observation when the episode started, I can't believe I didn't notice it the first time, the previous episode. Bennett, and I think it was also another contestant, had the suit on, a really immaculate suit and shoes, but no socks on before. I thought I would never be caught dead doing that. I think that's really tacky. Is that a move that you would do?
No, you know what? I appreciate the question. First of all, it's becoming a bit of a fashion fad, if you will, to go no socks with a suit. I'm not into it personally. As you know, I like to wear a lot of fancy socks, but a couple of the guys, Ed, for example, was wearing a pair of suit pants that were basically joggers. Like you could see his full Phil Mickelson calves when he would sit up. And other guys like Zach and Ben as well, they would wear the high top white shoes, and you're like, what are you doing? Just throw a regular pair of dress shoes on. I'm not about the look. And Bennett as well. Yeah, he was wearing the white sneakers. Bold look.
Yeah, and as I predicted there, they did swerve me for a little bit. I was like, whoa, could I possibly be wrong here? Yeah, she did send Bennett home. Not a huge surprise. I love the character. I think he's awesome. And we'll talk a bit more about him later on in this episode, about him returning. Bang.
Spoiler alert. Bang.
He allegedly, I'm going to say the word allegedly so I don't get sued here, doesn't he seem, as each episode goes by, he seems more and more like a serial killer? Or
wow, okay, that is a bold statement. I wouldn't, maybe. He's a fascinating character. That's what the show is all about.
The robot,
I wonder what he's...
I love it though. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, I don't know if Tayshia should bring him back.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you mentioned, we'll get into him a little. We'll discuss him, I should say. Maybe not get into him. We'll discuss him a little later in the show because Bennett, he's back. So we'll discuss that a little later in the show. But Noah thought he won the 2-on-1. When Tayshia came back in the room, he was smiling, and she said, get that smile off your face. What were your thoughts on them having the conversation and then Tayshia allowing Noah to come back into the rose ceremony? And we knew Noah was getting that rose just for TV. But what were your thoughts on Tayshia doing it that way?
I thought it was funny that the reason she probably kept him is because he downed a couple of Tic Tacs beforehand. Like that's the reason she kept him. But you need to keep him in the game because he's just too fascinating of a character. And yeah, like you touched on that at the rose ceremony in the middle of the episode. By the way, I can't stand rose ceremony. I hate this so much now. Have the rose ceremony at the end of the episode, please. It throws everything askew. I don't like it. It's been a thing on Bachelor for a few seasons now, especially. Yeah, he was saved, and he was the last guy to get the rose in that ceremony. On a scale of 0 to 100, 100 being the most scared, what were you that he was going to be gone for that final rose?
Well, I knew there was a 0% chance that he wasn't being picked last. As we're veterans of watching this show, I was watching actually with my sister and her husband, who are both followers of Bro Ceremony on Instagram. May I add, Sarah and Mark, and they were both sitting there shocked, like she really picked him, and yeah, like you knew that was happening.
But I will, if we may circle back to you talking about your sister. I had a distinct conversation with her a while back, many moons ago. And we talked about the show. I thought for sure, she's a big fan. Like I assumed, like her brother Scully loved it. She has to love it. I don't know why I assumed that, but I thought so. And she divulged that she wasn't a big fan of it. I thought that was nonsense, and I'm not here for it, as the kids would say, or something.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, Sarah and Mark are both into The Challenge, which seems like a pretty cool show. I've watched it throughout this week. It seems pretty cool. The Rictator is a big Bachelor fan, kind of a closet fan, but he's a fan. So whenever we're allowed to be together in 3D, get ready, get vulnerable for that. So the rose ceremony happens as we continue into the episode. And then there was a one-on-one, Tayshia and Ben. And kind of an interesting date. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk on social media that Ben, he gave some very interesting stuff about his background. We learned the week before that he was bulimic for a number of years, and then he's battled some mental health issues, I guess you can say. But I guess good for him for being vulnerable, and Tayshia gave him the rose.
Well, I just find it like fascinating with his show is just, and he did divulge some deeply personal stuff that, thank goodness, he's still with us. We'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's like, I've never told anyone this. My sister is like my confidant. He said, like, I love her so much. She got me through all this. Yet I've never told her this. And he tells this deeply, deeply personal story to no one he's known, but he tells it to everyone in America. I just find like it's just like, oh my God. And the show obviously loves capitalizing on that because it is good TV. But you got to have I'm assuming if you're a producer for that show, you have to have a certain level of griminess to you, because you know for sure they're pushing that angle of, oh, you got to tell them, because everybody has a secret to tell. I'm convinced they don't cast anyone unless they don't have the skeletons in their closet, basically.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned secrets to tell, because that is a tremendous segue to the group date, where they did a lie detector test. And if there were any lies, if there are any, weird stuff in your closet that you were keeping, some secrets, they were, you found out all about them. And first of all, if you took a lie detector test with, let's say, a fifth or sixth date, how terrified would you be?
I don't think all that much, really. I'm going to brag on that one and say I think I'm an open book. I think I'm fine. Yeah,
I think you are too, personally.
I think I could get my name correct. I'll put it that way. Unlike Riley, that was a good, interesting one. It reminded me of the greatest of all time shows, Joe Schmo, where they had the lie detector test in that show as well, and the answers were rigged. And the real guy, of course, thinking that these other contestants were real, thought these answers were real, and they were all rigged. And he's just like, there's some like weird, no. The guy would be like, I love you, and then they'd be like, no. And, whoa, that's weird. So I figured throughout that whole thing on the Bachelorette there, I was thinking like, oh my God, like there's some weird answers where you're just like, whoa. Like I said, Riley when you didn't know the backstory, Riley getting his name wrong was like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? But yeah, but by the way, she did say it. She actually said this. There's a few things that Tayshia said in this episode that I must repeat because
please give the people what they want.
She called it a truth detector. Did you hear that? She called it a truth detector. And then back to go to Ben, who you were just talking about there a minute or two ago. She said he's a tough cookie to crack. You don't crack cookies. You don't crack cookies. He's a tough nut to crack. Or a cookie crumbles, you don't crack a cookie. I'm just like, her expressions, you don't, I can see your face. You do not, it crumbles. You don't crack it.
Well, if a cookie's frozen, if it's cold, you technically are cracking it.
Why would you have a frozen cookie?
I'm just saying, sometimes cookies are cold.
Why? When? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Next question. Adam Scully loves frozen cookies, apparently. Fair enough. Teach his own. I'll drink to that.
That'll be the plug on social media all week. Adam Scully loves frozen cookies. By the way, brief aside, have you ever had chips in the fridge? Quite good. Out of the fridge?
I don't think so, unless I accidentally did that. Why would you?
Pretty good. I haven't had it, but my grandmother used to do it out in Sarnia, Ontario, and it was a different experience. But I got to say, pretty good. We'll discuss that on our next podcast, Chips Ahoy.
You mean? Oh, sorry, Chips Ahoy or chips?
No, chips. Like a bag of chips.
How did that happen? Like, who first did that?
I don't know. We'll get her on the phone right now.
Oh yeah, we gotta delve into that one for sure. That's an interesting one. I can't say I've ever had it. It can't be that bad. They're chips. Can't be that.
Yeah, it is what it is. But another interesting moment from that lie detector test was Zach, who's becoming quite a favorite. 36 years old. He's got the constant scruff going. Tayshia, as we'll get into a little later, the feelings are becoming mutual. They're becoming real feelings, Michael. But there was a big plug, talking about how Tayshia isn't into cheating, infidelity. That's maybe one of the reasons why her past marriage ended. But when Zach was asked if he has cheated before, it was a quick yes. What were your thoughts on how that went down?
First of all, my first thought is I love how Tayshia's like, I don't love that this happened to her, but I love that she said, I'm not into cheating. I don't like liars. Because most people like cheating and liars. Like, that's a throwaway comment made no sense. Yeah, so yeah, Zach saying that he's cheated right away, and at least he owned it. But then later in the episode, of course, he had to explain himself, saying why he cheated. And he exclaimed that it was in grade 6 or something, some girl, he kissed some other girl when he was dating some other girl. And she bought it right away. Like, oh, for sure, that has to be the answer. No chance in a million years that's the real answer. Not a chance in hell. He only cheated by kissing a girl in 6th grade. No chance. Can I be more clear?
Interesting, man, because I was going to say, because of the brilliance, as we discussed at length, of the way the Bachelor series promotes their upcoming episode, that there would be tears talking about Zach cheating. And then, of course, it's that absolutely nothing story, or so we thought as of this point, where he was just in grade 6. And I mean, technically, yes, he did cheat, but it was with one of his first ever girlfriends.
Honestly, like, there's, again, hey, hopefully it is. Hopefully that is the case, and his girlfriend in grade 6 isn't upset. But come on. I'm really speechless. I'm almost speechless to say there's not a chance that is a true story. And he covered his bases. And maybe it is true. Maybe he is right. But the fact that she immediately just said, "Yep, fine," is like, wouldn't you be a little bit more suspicious? I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, you would think. Now,
I hope you'd be a bit more suspicious.
I mean, I'm sure maybe we'll find things out if he does make it to hometowns. Hometowns are next week. We'll get into that shortly. But first, we discussed on episode 1 of the Bros Ceremony podcast, Chris Harrison. He's with, my apologies, Uncle Harrison. He's with his son at college. He's helping him move into college. And JoJo is back on the show as the host. Didn't really have much of a speaking role. Nope. The first episode she was in. A little more here in this past episode.
A bit more, but it just feels like she's shoehorned into the episode, and I'm glad you're bringing her up because
great word, by the way.
One of my favorite staples of Uncle Harrison is when he's completely unnecessarily needed in the episode, and there's one rose remaining, and he will, out of nowhere, appear and go, "Gentlemen, this is the final rose tonight." She did not do that. She wasn't there. It was only the final rose was given out. Then she said, "Gentlemen, if you didn't get picked, you're gone," basically. Why wouldn't you stick to script on that? Is that because did he have like the signature on that move, Uncle Harrison? Is that his like thing? You're not allowed to do it. Did you notice that?
It's funny. I actually didn't notice that, and that's why you are the expert. That's why you provide the hard-hitting analysis on the Bros Ceremony podcast. You're listening or watching to us on YouTube, Adam Scully, alongside Michael the Hound Dog Harrison, talking all things Bachelor. So moving forward, do you think JoJo's going to be more involved? How long do you think it's going to take for Chris Uncle Harrison to come back?
Yeah, how long does it take for you to go to, was it a graduation or something?
No, he's moving into college for the first time, I think.
Oh, right, college, yeah. I feel like I said in the first episode, I think this is just his way to be like, I just feel like going away for a week. Yeah, bye. That or I didn't even never even occurred to me, but maybe he contracted something, like maybe he has COVID or something. They're like, you need to get the hell out of here. I hope not.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I mean, hopefully everything is okay with Chris Harrison. He's been posting on Instagram as of late, so it sounds like everything is okay. But looking forward to seeing him back in the host chair because that's what he does best. He is one of the great characters on the Bachelor series. Now, I mentioned Tayshia and Zach's connection.
Mhm.
Zach told Tayshia in the intimate time after the lie detector group date test that he was falling in love with her. And she replied, I'm also falling in love with you. Other than Claire and Dale, which was love at first sight and see you later, pretty bold move by Tayshia. What were your thoughts?
Funny. If anyone hadn't seen this season before that, you'd be like, wait, hold on. They're allowed to say I love you, and like they tell I love you to like 8 different people. I swear it used to be that you weren't allowed to say that stuff. I swear that was the rules or something. And now that people just say it willy-nilly, like, no problem. I just don't fully Zach, there's too much there, I think, where she's going to be ultimately scared. And someone who I think is a big fan favorite, kind of, Brendan, seems to be liked by a lot of people, looks like he reminds me of like Patrick Mahomes a little bit.
Yes. And
B, he's also a robot. Speaking of robots like Bennett, I feel he's zero expression. It's like, that terrifies me a little bit. In a perspective, mate, if they have mate, why did I say that? That's kind of weird. But in a perspective lover, I guess, if they have no emotion but anything, I'd be like, I'm not so sure what's going on here. But Brendan seems, I can take him or leave him. Probably leave him.
Now, you made a comparison there with Brendan to Patrick Mahomes, and I'd be remiss not to bring up something that I failed to bring up earlier in the episode, where last week we harped on how Spencer was A man rocket, and B, looks like Nick Taylor. I know you're rolling your eyes. Keep it together over there. Tayshia let him go in the rose ceremony. What were your thoughts on that?
So I think 2 of the 3 right. I said Ed would be gone. As much as good TV he was, I knew he'd be gone. I said Blake would be gone. I was wrong about that. And who was the other one? DeMar. We were talking about how he hadn't really done much the whole season.
Right.
But she gets rid of the man rocket Spencer. I guess he just didn't have his walls down and he wasn't in it for the right reasons or something. But like, man, what are you doing? For Blake? You're keeping Blake over this rocket. I'm dumbfounded by the mistake.
You know what? I was pretty dumbfounded as well, to be quite frank with you. I mean, after Spencer got the second edition of the First Impression Rose when the new wave of guys came in, it was very surprising to me. I thought Blake was also going to be heading home. But as we look ahead now to next episode, Blake from Burlington, Ontario, or Hamilton, he's somewhere in Ontario, he's getting a one-on-one. Chances he gets a rose or goes home. How are you grading this? Or if you were betting this at home, is this like an almost guarantee he's gone?
Yeah, he's gone. I just don't see he's been an entertaining character when Claire was first on, and he's been pretty good. Although he hasn't done a whole lot except for make claymation thing out of a penis or penises out of claymation.
Yes.
He hasn't done a whole lot. He's been kind of funny, but he hasn't really done much, to be honest with you. Like, I could see him maybe coming back for Paradise if they have it this season, just because he is a kind of a funny character, and he's definitely would be remembered for that. But I think he is a very, very. I hate betting on the sure thing because you don't get much money out of it. But excuse me, I apologize, Adam, for that. Wow, I guess I was so fired up about that. Yeah, I don't think Blake has any chance at all. No chance. You?
I'd say I'm with you as well. The chances he gets a rose are 10%, slim to none in my humble opinion. But hey, weirder things have happened in Bachelor Nation. I should also mention that, Hound Dog, you are a writer for sportsbettingdime.com. So where we're at right now, or where we thought we were at, there were 7 men remaining until the gents leave the intimate setting. They all say goodnight because Tayshia, sorry, before I get into that, I have to bring this up as well.
I thought you were going to talk about Riley. Is that what we're going to bring up?
No. What I was going to bring up, because of the Riley thing, another like deep story. It was, well, I mean, what were your thoughts on the Riley situation?
It was just kind of confusing. So he had his father's last name and his mom was gone out of the picture or something. And then he grew up and he realized, I guess his dad was lying about his mom and stuff. And then so Then he resented his dad a little bit, so then he changed his name. That was kind of strange. Also strange, earlier in the episode, I believe it was him, he gave her a 1-week-old anniversary gift. Have you ever given someone a 1-week-old or received a 1-week-old anniversary gift?
I gave you one, I think.
I think it was this mug, I think. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, Adam.
No, I mean, that was a very interesting situation. But, okay, so earlier in the episode, Ben got a rose, which meant that he had a guaranteed hometown, which we'll get into that later. How are they doing hometowns? That's going to be something in its own topic all in itself. So Ben has one of, we think, 4 hometown roses, because that's generally the case. So the guys who are on the group date they all had a great time with Tayshia. They all were lovey-dovey, etc. They all seemed to make a great connection. This next rose would have been absolutely huge, and Tayshia comes in and says, you know what? I'm going to sleep on it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. What do you think?
Yeah, cool. We respect it. But inside, they're all like, oh, come on, man. That's what they're thinking inside. But, of course, they say they respect it. They didn't respect it.
It's good TV, I guess, right?
True. That's a good point.
So right after that, it looked like the episode was going to end, but there was still time on the clock. I was actually watching the show live for the first time in a very long time, which I don't recommend doing. I like to scan through in PVR or sometimes have a little debrief in between segments. Anyway, so Tayshia's walking through the gates, and look who shows up. The man, the myth, the legend, Bennett. I'm back. What'd you think about the conversation Bennett and Tayshia had after he returned?
It perhaps led to his extremely underrated favorite moment of this episode. I think most people probably didn't even pick up on. And, we already know in previous episodes he couldn't spell the word privilege. Was it privilege?
I believe so, yes.
And he couldn't say he didn't have some other math. He got some math problems wrong or something. And he struggles with some of the simple things, even though he's got a high IQ.
Right.
He said when he came back, this whole thing has been a whirlwind. Did you notice that at all? A whirlwind. It's a whirlwind, Bennett. It's a whirlwind, not a whirlwind. Oh, God. The amount of expressions that are said incorrectly in the show, I would say baffles me, but it doesn't baffle me. So
of course it doesn't baffle you.
What's that?
I said, of course it doesn't baffle you. Yeah, of course.
Or just, it was pretty funny to see him come back. Like I said, that's when he had a completely serious face, and I was just like, it was kind of a little bit terrifying to me. His non-facial expressions, I guess, and she has to sleep on the decision. I'm pretty sure he's going to come back into the episode. I would imagine, just because of the drama. Why not, right? Especially between him and Noah. But I think he's a great character. I love Bennett for sure, but I just don't think he's the one for her.
Well, he also, at the end of their conversation, which appeared to go well, he didn't go right home after that. He went in for the kiss, and he got rejected.
That was hilarious. I was hoping at the TV, I was like, "Come on, Lee, go for it," because I knew he was going to for sure get rejected. So I guess the scriptwriter on that one gave him some good information. He went for it, and no. By the way, if I may mention about you right now, can you give the people who are watching this episode what they want and tug down a little bit more to see more of that chest hair? Or
are you thinking I should go a little Harry Higgs here, or what?
Oh, yeah, all of our Bachelorette and Bachelor fans definitely know who Harold Higgs is on the PGA Tour, 0-time winner. I don't quite think they would know who he is, but yes, that is tremendous chest hair, which I do not have, so I'm jealous.
I feel like, I guess you don't. I've never seen you with your shirt off, so I guess that's okay. Anyway, moving on. Apparently, Adam Hadwin and his wife are big Bachelor series fan. I wonder if Harry Higgs. I'll reach out on Instagram, see if he wants to come on for episode 3.
That would just be absolutely spectacular. I love it, and I would be truly honored to have him on the podcast. And he is an absolute beauty. He's a weapon, a throwback to guy to like the '80s or whatever. With he looks like a very, 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 very interesting, funny guy. No question.
So I mentioned earlier that you are a writer for sportsbettingdime.com. You've also done some Bachelorette odds throughout the season. So at this point, let's assume Bennett is back. In the previews, they showed him saying, "I'm back." So let's say he is in this rose ceremony for sure. So at this point, there are 8 guys left. Ben, Zach, Riley, Brendan, Ivan, Blake, Noah, Bennett. Ben has a rose. So Ben is in virtual hometowns, whatever the hell they're doing hometowns wise. Let's pick the next 3. In your opinion, who gets the first rose in that rose ceremony?
For the first rose to stay. I think she.
In other words, other than Bennett, other than Ben.
Oh, Ben and Bennett's tripping you up, eh?
It really is. Other than Ben, who is the favorite?
I think he's slightly going down in the rankings a little bit. Ivan, I think at this point still, but didn't really show him a whole lot last episode. So I'm going to say Ivan gets the first rose, then Zach. And I still think of Riley. I really do believe Riley. I remember saying that last time that he's a fork of the roads. I think he's a good chance on that one. And what I also said Noah as well. So to be honest with you, as the episodes keep going on and on, I don't really see, in my opinion, a lot of great suitors for her, if I'm actually honest. Maybe JPJ can come back.
Maybe. I mean, that would be the ultimate Falcon twist if JPJ came back. Now, for me, I think Ivan could be the favorite because he's not getting involved with any of the drama. He's staying out of it. True. You know, even like, he's not saying anything controversial. I believe in a promo coming up for next week. We see some tears from Ivan. I mean, they're all crying at this point. So, I mean, I'd say I'd put him probably in a 1A with Zach in a 1B. I think they're the 2 guarantees. I think Bennett's going to be gone. I believe Noah's going to be gone. Blake's going to be long gone by that point. For me, it's between Riley and Brendan. And I think that Brendan has the better connection than Riley does. But I guess we'll wait and see.
Is this when you're ranking your picks here? Is this just an excuse to show off your guns? Was that what was a?
No, I mean like that could be if you want, but no, no.
Certainly. They're obviously making you think Ben wins, which makes me think he doesn't win. So, but I just don't. I'm struggling to find if he doesn't win, then I guess Ivan. But it just seems. I don't know. I feel there's going to be some sort of twist at the end of the season, like it was a couple of years ago, where something crazy is going to happen. I still like the thought about Noah here. I know he's sort of at a crossroads. Like I said last week, they're forking the road with him. But I think ultimately it's going to be Riley. I really get a feeling that him opening up about that story with his parents, and she already liked him before that. I have a feeling Riley might be the winner here, Adam.
So you're picking Riley to win it all. I'm picking Riley to go home in this next episode. We are at a crossroads here.
Wow. Yeah, well, that'd be interesting. We should put, given that right for sports betting website, we should put $50,000 on that bet. What do you think?
We should put $50,000, sportsbettingdime.com. We'll take your recommendation. And who knows, you might win, you might lose. Now, before we end episode 2 here, let's give a brief preview. Double header, Monday and Tuesday. First of all, you love to see that. Back-to-back Jacks for the Bachelorette next week as well, where they're going to end this thing. We'll see how these hometowns go. I'm guessing it's going to be something like this over Zoom. Yeah. What do you think? Like, it has to be, right?
But yeah, for Love Island, that's not a spoiler. Tremendous show as well. Love Island. The narrator on that is amazing. Yeah, that was the family hometowns. Exactly that. It was over Zoom, and they're in the villa, and they're talking to each other on the screens and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm assuming that's what's going to happen.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, but I intentionally, any analysis I gave through this episode, I didn't say it based on what I saw in the preview for the episode, because the preview of the episode showed 2 people who are gone, in theory. Well, not in theory. 2 people who are leaving. I'm not going to say the names because, as we know, I don't want to say spoilers. But I regardless of what I said in this episode, I didn't give away who that could be based on what I was saying in my predictions. But I don't understand. Like, the show is, I guess maybe they're thinking is we're talking about it, so they don't care. That they're at this point, you know what? In this day and age of social media, people might find out if they want to. They're still going to watch even if they already know the answers. I'm guessing that's their thought process behind it, but. One of them was an extremely obvious example of who doesn't win the game. I'm assuming you know who it is without saying that person's name.
I do, and it goes back to when Nick Viall was named the Bachelor, and this would have been 3 or 4 years ago. He was still on Paradise. The finale was the next night, and they announced him as the new Bachelor.
Yeah, I think that's their way of doing a social media firestorm, because people will either be talking about it, obviously, or they'll be upset about it. So they're like, you know what, let's just get more people talking. I guess that's the mindset and the thought process behind that. But it just seems weird to me that you give a stuff away. Back to a show which didn't necessarily start the whole reality show craze, but Survivor in 2000 when that started, everyone was trying to figure out who the winner was. All these spoilers. There was a website called Survivor Sucks, and they're trying to spoil the whole season. And in episode 2 or 3, they showed a shot of the tribal council with like the final 8 or 9 contestants in like episode 2 or 3 when there were still like 14 people left. So people obviously easily sleuthed that one out and were like, well, you've just given away who the final 9 people were. It was so obvious. So later that season, they actually digitally, not enhanced, but they digitally took out 2 or 3 people in a shot so people would think, oh my God, you gave away the final 4 now. But in actuality, it was the final 7. They basically essentially cropped people out of the photo, which was funny. So you'd like to think that maybe there's something foul plays afoot here with The Bachelor. They're doing something to try to swerve you in some way, or maybe someone you saw who lost maybe didn't actually lose, perhaps, or you feel that maybe there's something here. There's a method behind the madness, because there's no way, as we've said before, their previews for episodes are outstanding. They know what they're doing. They wouldn't just willy-nilly accidentally put 2 people who are out of the game on there unless, like I said, they just don't care.
I guess, you know what, we'll see what happens. As they said in the preview, it's a men tell all like we've never seen before. So who knows, maybe someone jumps out of a cake and they get engaged right there. I'm guessing that's not going to be the case, but only time will tell. Before we end episode 2 here, Michael, you're also the producer and host of the H-Dog pod. Probably the host and producer would probably make more sense to go first. Latest guest, tell us about him or her.
Gurdeep Ahluwalia, former worker, writer at TSN, great guy, and he left to go to CP24, then he came back to TSN. He's a great story as to why he thought my nickname was Hot Dog as opposed to Hound Dog.
Oh.
He called me that for like 3 months, and eventually I just had to tell him like this hilariously like non-important discussion with him, like, hey dude, it's hot. It's Hound Dog actually, but he was fantastic. But yeah, now he's back on CP24 as a host, and his story, he had an awesome story as well about a bad word one of his co-hosts said by accident, and the host had no idea they said it on air, and he thought for sure he'd saved himself, and then no, he said a swear like 8 a.m. So that story was fantastic. Gurdeep's amazing, and that episode will be coming out actually perhaps on this day, the Monday that this comes out as well. So that'll be episode 48 of the H-Dog pod.
Well, first of all, Hot Dog, congrats on the milestone 48th episode of the H-Dog pod. You can subscribe to that on iTunes or anywhere where you find your favorite podcast. This has been another very fun edition. Again, every Monday we are releasing the Bros Ceremony. Probably going to be a bit of a longer episode for the next week because we'll be recapping 2 episodes. Again, back to back, a Bachelorette double header. As I said before, Michael, you just love to see that, don't you?
And my walls are down, and I'm in it for the right reasons, Adam.
Of course, you can follow us on Instagram at Bros Ceremony. We're on Twitter as well at Bros Ceremony Pod. Subscribe to us on YouTube, where these will be released every week. Looking forward to bringing you many more editions of the Bros Ceremony podcast. For Michael the Hound Dog Harrison, I'm Adam Scully. We'll see you next time right here on the Bros Ceremony.